Management Program at Harvard Business School. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Jeremy Penn, Chief Executive of the Baltic Exchange and our Issa London office landlord.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I must say it's a huge pleasure, delight, and indeed honour to be here and to be given this opportunity to speak to you this morning. This time, I've had 18 months' notice, I think, of being here today to speak to you. The last time I spoke at an Issa function, I had, I think, 24 hours' notice. It might have even been less, when Spence sidled up to me and said, I wonder if you could speak at a lunch that we're holding on Wellington tomorrow. And that was fine. You know, I went along and did the speech, and I prepared a little anecdote about the very short notice and saying, I hoped amusingly, how disappointed I was that I was the kind of second choice. Unfortunately, the person who introduced me, and luckily I can't remember who it was, made it absolutely clear that I wasn't the second choice at all. I was about the fifth choice. So all I can say is all is forgiven. Spence asked me to talk about the Baltic Exchange, tell you what we do, who we are, and also the slightly more challenging one is talk about the shipping market. And I suppose there's a sort of question there about, well, when does it all change, where does it all go, and when does it get better? And I'm also very happy to have some questions at the end, assuming there's time, and no doubt someone will wave their arms if there isn't time. So if we do have time for some questions, it would be great to actually talk about what you'd like to hear about, as opposed to what I've chosen to speak about. The history of the Baltic Exchange goes back to 1744, when an enterprising owner of a coffee shop here in London realised that many of the merchants and sea captains who came to his coffee shop were engaged in the Baltic trades. Previously, his coffee shop had been called the Virginia and Maryland Coffee Shop, for obvious reasons, and now he called it the Virginia and Baltic Coffee Shop. This was at an era when, like now, doing business in the then equivalent of Starbucks was becoming increasingly popular. And the business was sort of moving out from the Royal Exchange, where everything had taken place, into these sort of individual locations. And it was the era when you had the evolution of Lloyd's coffee shop, for example, famous for the insurance market that emanated from there. And a little bit later on, the London Stock Exchange, etc., also came from a coffee shop, which I think was called Jeffrey's. So over time, people knew that they came to the Baltic coffee shop in order to do their business with that particular area of the world. And it became a little bit more of a membership organisation, a little bit more of a club, a little bit more of a place you went when you knew you could trust the people you were doing business with. So you went there because you knew them, you could trust them, they were friends, they were part of a kind of a circle. And so it became this idea of membership, and over time you had more sort of regulation, more of a committee of management and so on. But the modern history of the Baltic really starts at the turn of the last century, when